Dr. Michael Morbius is a dreadfully imperfect anti-hero against Spider-Man and Blade, the vampire hunter. He is a Nobel-Prize winning scientist who devoted his life finding a cure for his extremely rare and debilitating blood disorder. In one of his experiments, he used the DNA of vampire bats and electroshock therapy and tested it to himself. The DNA improved his health, gave him regenerative healing powers, echolocation, flight, and hypnotic stare, but it also gave him different vampire qualities such as bloodlust. He became part of the West Coast Avengers at one point and even led his own teams. Welcome to Vita Comics, and in today's episode, let's see the amazing events in the life and death of Morbius, the living vampire. Created by Roy Thomas and Jill Kane, Morbius first appeared in number 101 of the Amazing Spider-Man comic series in 1971, right after the prohibition of vampires on comic books was lifted by the Comics Code Authority. Here, Spider-Man tried to inject himself a potion that would make him a normal human being but ended up having 6 arms. So he called in a favor from Dr. Connors, aka the Lizard, to get a place to stay and figure out how he can reverse the effect of the potion. Dr. Connors allowed him to go to his beach house in Southampton in Long Island. Meanwhile, Morbius was aboard a ship that also landed in Long Island in Southampton, where he also saw Dr. Connors' house as a place to stay. And so, in that house, we saw the first confrontation of Spider-Man and Morbius. Spider-Man and Morbius fought. The Lizard joined in and he was bit by Morbius, and this bite made the Lizard return to his human form. Morbius escaped, but they realized that he would be the solution to their problems. So, they tracked down Morbius, took some of his blood samples, and used it to return to their normal selves.
It's over, Michael. Spider-Man! How did you find me?
Well, let's say figuring that out drove me batty. Now I'm going to take you where you can get help.
No! I'm not ready!
Morbius is a pseudo-vampire, which means he has many characteristics similar to vampires like strength, speed, agility, hypnosis, and fast healing, but he did not become one because of supernatural means. Thus, a cross and garlics do not affect him at all. But he is constantly craving for blood and he cannot stand the sunlight. His father is Makariowa Morbius, but he was raised by his single mom in Nafplio, Greece. As a child, his only friends are Emil and Liza Nikos. When he discovered his disease that weakens his blood cells and immune system, he knew he had to find a cure. Emil stayed by his side all the way through adulthood and college and helped him find a cure. However, when the vampire bat DNA transformed him into a vampire, he was unable to control his bloodlust and he unintentionally killed Emil, his best friend. The death of Emil was witnessed by Martine Bancroft, the fiancée of Morbius, who then sought the help of the Fantastic Four. The Human Torch went to see Hans Jorgensen, Morbius' colleague, but he also saw Spider-Man there. Spider-Man and the Human Torch fought Morbius, but Morbius accidentally killed Jefferson Bolt and fled. Because Hans Jorgensen discovered the origins of Morbius' life-giving enzymes that might help reverse his deterioration, Morbius kidnapped Jorgensen. However, Jorgensen is also a colleague of Professor X, and when Professor X found out, he asked the original members of the X-Men to rescue Jorgensen. Morbius will then star in his own comic series called Vampire Tales, released in 1973, where he encountered various supernatural beings. He continued to do this in the Fear series and encountered Satanist Reverend Damon, the caretakers of Arcturus, the cat demon Balcatar, and Tara, the psychic vampire. Eventually, the skillful vampire slayer Blade took notice of Morbius. They met for the first time, but Morbius was able to escape. Then, Morbius, together with the Ghost Rider, formed the Legion of Monsters to fight Starseed. He encountered Blade again when he visited his scientist friend Ronson Slade to find a cure. In one of his blood hunts, he mistakenly targeted Alicia Masters, the blind girlfriend of the Thing. The Thing caught him in the act of almost biting Alicia, but they were soon transported to a different dimension by the living eraser. He eventually came back, and on another fight with Spider-Man, a freak lightning hit Morbius, and this lightning caused for him to lose his vampiric traits and become a normal human. He then went on assisting the West Coast Avengers in some missions. The lightning cure expired and Morbius returned as a vampire when he met Doctor Strange. Later, he was kidnapped by Hydra to be experimented on, but he was rescued by Spider-Man and SHOC Todd Fields. Morbius then became a scientist for Armor, or Alternate Reality Monitoring and Operational Response Agency, where he created a vaccine that would stop the zombie plague from a parallel universe. As part of finishing the plague, Morbius then gathered the Midnight Suns, namely the Werewolf, Man-Thing, Hellstorm, and Jennifer Kale to dispose anything infected with the zombie plague. After that, he reformed the Legion of Monsters together with Werewolf, Living Mummy, Manphibian, and Elsa Bloodstone. They worked in the underground city of Monster Metropolis with the objective of protecting monsters that are being hunted down by monster killers.
No one will survive my wrath!
Morbius then perfected a cure that would turn the lizard Dr. Connors back to his human form. He was successful, but Dr. Connors has already lost his humanistic personality and is still very much evil inside. In the 2013 series of Morbius, Morbius became a local hero in Brownsville, fighting off different gangsters with Becky Barnes as his sidekick. Here, he encountered the superior Spider-Man, who is Dr. Octopus in Peter Parker's body, and fought a villain called Rose, who was working under Morbius' father, Makarioa. Together with Firestar and Cloak and Dagger, Morbius was then recruited by Iron Fist to rescue Misty Knight, who was stuck in the sewers, being chased by Demogoblins and the Hive of Carnage. In the 2019 series, Morbius is mutating even further and even got bat wings. Liza Nikos, sister of Emil Nikos, the best friend Morbius killed, eventually knew about this information and swore to hunt and kill Morbius. When they were younger, Liza professes love to Morbius, but Morbius only sees her as a sister. Liza lost touch, but Emil continued to help Morbius. After Emil's death, Liza went into different trainings and became a vampire slayer. She almost succeeded in killing Morbius, but with the help of Spider-Man, Liza discovered the heroic capabilities of Morbius. Liza then forgave him and left. However, much later, Morbius was unable to control his bloodlust and successfully bit Spider-Man that rendered him unconscious and hospitalized. In the cartoons, Morbius appeared in Spider-Man the Animated Series. Here, he drained blood plasma through his hands, so he attacked people for their plasma and battled Spider-Man and Blade while trying to create more vampires. In the preceding episodes, Morbius became a hero after joining forces with Blade, Spider-Man, and Black Cat to overthrow the Vampire Queen.
Michael?
Felicia, I do not know if I can rely on the serum for the rest of my life.
Maybe if someone were by your side, giving you strength, someone like me?
You will do that for me?
I will do that for you.
In the Ultimate Spider-Man vs. the Sinister Six animated series, Morbius is a Hydra scientist who specializes in creating symbiotes. Together with Dr. Octopus, they created the Anti-Venom symbiote to join the Sinister Six. He also created the Carnage symbiote before becoming the living vampire.
Take this, Batbrain!
In the movies, set in Sony's Spider-Man universe, Jared Leto plays the character of Michael Morbius, who is a scientist who has a rare blood disease ever since he is a kid. He tried a dangerous cure that afflicted him with certain forms of vampirism. In conclusion, Morbius is a weird yet powerful vampire, and his life is defined by his worsening bloodlust and his everlasting search to cure his ailments. He can unconditionally save people and monsters, but he can also eat them for dinner. Do you think Jared Leto is perfect as Morbius? Let us know what you think and hit subscribe.